It was supposed to be a regular TV appearance. La Revuelta, Spain's most-watched evening talk show, had invited international star Yaman to talk about his latest projects and his growing success across Europe. The studio lights were bright, the atmosphere cheerful, and the audience filled with excited fans waving Turkish and Spanish flags. But no one expected what was about to happen. As Can took his seat, dressed sharply in a dark suit with his signature charm, the host began with light questions: his upcoming film, his work in Italy, his training routine. The conversation was flowing smoothly. Yet, behind the calm smile, something about Can felt different that night, a little quieter, more thoughtful, almost vulnerable. Then came the question that changed everything. The host leaned forward, lowered her tone, and asked softly, "Can, it's been years, but fans still talk about you and Demet. Do you ever think about her?" The audience gasped. You could almost feel the air freeze for a second. Can's eyes, which had been shining a moment ago, suddenly shifted, not in anger, but in something deeper. He paused. He took a slow breath. And then he said, quietly but firmly, "Some things, you never really stop feeling." That one line sent the entire studio into silence. Cameras zoomed in. The host hesitated, unsure whether to continue or let the silence speak. And yet, it was too late, the confession had already begun. Behind the scenes, the producers didn't know what to do. This wasn't on the script. No one had expected Yaman to open up about Demet Özdemir, not after years of avoiding the topic. But now, in front of millions watching across Spain and beyond, he was ready to speak, not as the actor everyone admired, but as the man who once loved deeply, and perhaps still did. The cameras were still rolling, but the energy in the studio had completely changed. The crowd, moments earlier clapping and cheering, now sat in a heavy silence. Even the host, usually confident and fast-talking, hesitated before speaking again. "When you say you never stop feeling," she asked gently, "are you talking about love?" Can gave a faint smile, the kind that hides pain rather than joy. He didn't rush his answer. He looked down for a second, then lifted his eyes toward the audience, as if searching for the right words. "You can't erase people who were real," he said finally. "You can move on. You can build a new life. But the truth is, some memories don't leave you. They live inside you quietly." The audience gasped again, some even wiping tears. It was the most human moment the world had seen from Ken in a long time. For years, he'd been the strong, confident, untouchable star. But that night, live on Spanish television, his voice trembled, not from weakness, but from honesty. The host pressed gently, "Did you ever get a chance to tell her what you truly felt?" Ken leaned back in his chair, exhaling. "I thought I did," he said softly, "but sometimes silence says more than words." Those who knew their story, the laughter on set, the rumors, the chemistry that went far beyond acting, suddenly felt everything come back. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was the weight of unfinished feelings, the kind that never fully fade away. In that moment, every fan watching knew, he wasn't just reminiscing. He was confessing. Later, when the segment ended, cameras cut to commercial, and the crowd burst into applause. Ken stayed still for a moment. He wasn't smiling. His hands were clasped together, eyes lost in thought. He whispered something under his breath, too quietly for the microphones to catch. But a lip reader later revealed what he had said: "I hope she's happy." It was that small sentence that sent social media into a storm. Within minutes, #CanYamanLaRevuelta and #Demet Özdemir were trending across Spain, Turkey, and Italy. Fans wrote, "He still loves her," while others simply said, "This is what closure looks like." But for Yaman, that night wasn't about closure at all. It was about opening a door he had kept locked for far too long. The broadcast ended, applause echoed through the studio, and the host tried to lighten the mood again with a few jokes. But the moment was already too heavy to recover from. Ken gave a polite smile, shook hands with the crew, and walked off the stage, his calm demeanor masking the emotional storm within. As soon as he entered the backstage corridor, the atmosphere changed. The staff greeted him with admiration, some whispering, "That was powerful," while others just looked at him in silence. One of the producers approached carefully and said, "You know, Can, you didn't have to go that deep. We could have cut the question." Can looked at him with a faint smile. "No," he replied. "Some things are better left in the open." He walked into his dressing room, closed the door behind him, and leaned against the wall for a long moment. The lights from the mirror flickered softly, reflecting the quiet exhaustion in his eyes. His assistant entered a few minutes later, holding his phone. "You're trending in Spain," she said, half smiling. "And not just Spain, Italy, Turkey, everywhere." Ken glanced at the screen, thousands of tweets, videos, and screenshots from the show. Fans were dissecting every gesture, every pause, every look. Some compared his words to past interviews with Demet, some played old clips from their series side by side with tonight's footage. The internet was on fire. He scrolled through the comments, and among the chaos, one message caught his eye: Demet Özdemir liked to tweet about the interview. For a second, everything stopped. His fingers froze over the screen. He didn't know whether it was true, but something about it made his heart race. Could she have been watching? After all this time, could she have heard him say those words? He sat down slowly, staring at the floor. His assistant spoke again, quietly this time. "She saw it, Can. Her team confirmed it." The silence that followed was heavier than anything he had felt on stage. He closed his eyes, remembering the last time they had spoken, brief, polite, distant. He had told himself they were just two people who shared a beautiful past. But tonight proved otherwise. The cameras had captured something he could no longer hide. He still cared. And now, for the first time in years, she knew. That same night in Istanbul, Demet Özdemir was sitting quietly at home. She had just finished a long day on set, exhausted, scrolling through messages on her phone. Suddenly, her manager called. "Demet, have you seen the interview?" She frowned. "What interview?" "Can. On Spain's La Revuelta. You should, probably watch it." There was something in her manager's tone that made her pause. She opened Instagram, and before she could even search for it, her feed was flooded with clips of Can's emotional confession. The subtitles read, "Some things you never really stop feeling." Demet watched, her expression unreadable at first. Then, as Can's voice trembled in the video, her eyes softened. She pressed her lips together, swallowed hard, and paused the clip halfway through. The phone kept buzzing. Friends, fans, even foreign magazines were tagging her. Some wrote, "He still loves you." Others said, "This is your story." But Demet didn't respond. She turned off her notifications and sat still for a long time. Inside, memories she had carefully buried began to resurface: the laughter on set, the way he'd look at her when the camera stopped rolling, the long hours they'd spend rehearsing lines that felt too real. She remembered the last time she saw him, when both pretended to be fine but left without saying what truly mattered. That night, she didn't sleep. She stayed by the window, watching the city lights fade, and whispered softly, "You shouldn't have said it now," but deep down, she knew those words weren't anger. They were fear that everything she'd worked so hard to forget was coming back. Meanwhile, in Madrid, Can returned to his hotel. He looked drained, emotionally and physically. His assistant handed him his jacket and said, "You've started something tonight, Can. The world won't stop talking about it." He smiled faintly. "Let them talk," he said, taking off his bracelet and placing it on the table. "For once, I said what I really felt." Later, he sat on the balcony, the city lights glowing beneath him, and opened his phone again. There, between thousands of notifications, one stood out, a heart emoji on a tweet that quoted his words, "Some things you never stop feeling." It was from Demet. He stared at it for minutes, unable to move. Maybe it was accidental. Maybe it wasn't. But to him, it meant more than words. He whispered into the night, "Then you felt it too." The next morning, the sun had barely risen over Madrid when the first headlines appeared. Every major European outlet was talking about the same thing, Yaman's emotional confession on La Revuelta. Spain falls in love with Yaman's honesty, wrote El Mundo. Did he just confess his feelings for Demet Özdemir? Asked Corriere della Sera. By noon, Turkish networks had already translated the entire interview, and fans across 3 countries were arguing online. Was it love? Was it regret? Or was it both? Can woke up to a storm. His phone was overflowing with calls from managers, producers, and journalists. Everyone wanted a statement. But he said nothing. He turned off the phone, threw on a hoodie, and went for a walk through the empty streets near his hotel. He needed air. He needed silence. As he walked, flashes of memories came back, that one night in Istanbul when he almost called her but didn't. The letter he wrote and never sent. The words he rehearsed in his head but couldn't say until now, in a foreign country, on live TV. He sat down at a cafe, ordered a Turkish coffee, and overheard 2 Spanish women at the next table talking. One said, "He's still in love. You can see it in his eyes." He smiled bitterly. They were right. Back in Istanbul, Demet's team was in chaos too. Reporters camped outside her apartment, trying to get a reaction. Her manager suggested releasing a short statement denying everything, but Demet refused. "No," she said calmly. "Silence says more than denial." Instead, she posted a single Instagram story, a blurry sunrise photo with no caption, just a song playing in the background. It was Bana Ellerini Ver, an old Turkish song about lost love and memories that never fade. Fans immediately connected the dots. The lyrics translated to, "Give me your hands once more, so I can remember what warmth feels like." Within minutes, her story went viral. Comments flooded in, "She's answering him, they still love each other, this is their silent reunion." But neither of them said a word. Later that evening, Can's assistant showed him Demet's story. He watched it quietly, eyes fixed on the screen. Then, without saying anything, he got up, put on his coat, and left the hotel. No one knew where he went that night. Some claimed he took a late flight to Istanbul. Others said he went to the coast, disappearing from public view for days. But one thing was certain, something had been awakened in him, something he could no longer hide. And somewhere, in another city, Demet felt it too. 2 days later, no one knew where Yaman was. His team released a short statement, he is taking time off to rest. But the media wasn't buying it. Paparazzi searched airports, ports, even private airstrips. Fans in Madrid claimed they'd seen him heading toward the coast, others in Istanbul swore he had already landed there secretly. Social media turned into chaos. Hashtags like #WhereIsCanYaman and #DemetAncan trended nonstop. The mystery only made people more obsessed. Every little clue became a headline. Every song lyric Demet posted became a coded message in the eyes of their fans. Meanwhile, Can was nowhere near the noise. He had driven hours away from Madrid, to a quiet coastal village where no one recognized him. He rented a small house overlooking the sea, left his phone inside, and spent most of the day walking barefoot on the sand. It was the first time in years he'd been truly alone. No cameras, no fans, no expectations. Just silence, and the echo of words he could no longer take back. At night, he sat on the porch, staring at the ocean. The waves reminded him of the nights he'd spent talking with Demet on set, both of them dreaming aloud about where life would take them. He smiled bitterly, neither of them could have predicted this. Then, one evening, his phone buzzed. He almost ignored it. But the screen showed a message from an unknown number. His heart skipped. The text was simple, just 2 words, "I saw." No name. No emoji. Nothing else. He read it again. His pulse quickened. It couldn't be, could it? He typed a reply, deleted it. Typed again. Stopped. Finally, after several minutes, he wrote back, "Then you know." No response. Minutes passed. Then hours. The night grew cold, and he kept staring at the phone, hoping for another message that never came. But deep down, he didn't need one. He knew exactly who it was. The next morning, a photo surfaced online, a blurry shot taken by a tourist at a small cafe by the sea. It showed Ken sitting alone, looking out toward the horizon. The caption read, "He looks lost in thought, like he's waiting for someone." Within hours, the image went viral. But what no one knew was that just moments before that picture was taken, Ken had whispered quietly to himself, "If she really saw it, then maybe she still feels it too." Back in Istanbul, Demet read the article and saw the same photo. She didn't comment, didn't share, didn't like it. She just stared at the screen and whispered under her breath, "You still haven't changed." And in that fragile silence, their story, the one the world thought was over, started breathing again. Days turned into weeks. The world kept talking, speculating, dreaming, but both Ken and Demet remained silent. Their silence, however, said more than 1,000 interviews ever could. By now, the rumors had reached every corner of Europe. TV networks replayed clips from La Revuelta, magazines published timelines of their relationship, and fans dissected every photo and post with forensic precision. But behind all the noise, something deeper was happening, two hearts quietly remembering what once was. Demet had tried to focus on her new project, but it was impossible. Every scene, every love story she acted out reminded her of him. Her friends noticed her growing distant, her smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. One evening, her mother asked gently, "Why do you keep pretending you've moved on when your heart clearly hasn't?" Demet looked away, her voice trembling. "Because some people don't belong in your life anymore, but they'll always live in your heart." That night, she took a walk by the Bosphorus. The air was cool, the water shimmering under the city lights. She stopped for a moment, pulled out her phone, and opened the message thread, the same number that had sent her "Then you know." She typed, "I'm fine. Don't come back." Then deleted it. And instead, she wrote, "Take care of yourself." She didn't hit send. She just locked the screen, stared at the stars, and smiled sadly. Meanwhile, far from Istanbul, Ken stood at an airport gate with a ticket in his hand, destination, Istanbul. He had made up his mind. Enough hiding. Enough silence. It was time to face everything, even if it meant hearing the words he feared most. But just as he was about to board, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his manager. Demet just signed a new series. Shooting starts tomorrow in Cappadocia. He froze. The words hit harder than he expected. She was moving forward, as she should. And suddenly, he realized, maybe love isn't about going back. Maybe it's about letting go, knowing you've already said what needed to be said. He smiled faintly, turned around, and walked out of the airport. The ticket slipped into a trash bin on his way out. That evening, a fan spotted him at a small cafe by the sea, the same one from the viral photo. He was quiet, peaceful this time. When the fan approached shyly and asked, "Will you ever see her again?" he smiled and replied, "Maybe in another life." Later, he posted one final message on his Instagram story, a sunset over the ocean with a simple caption, "For some stories, silence is the most honest ending." Demet saw it within minutes. She didn't like it. She didn't share it. She just whispered softly, "I understand." And that was it. No reunion, no dramatic goodbye, just two souls who had once collided, left a mark on each other, and learned that sometimes love doesn't need a perfect ending to be real. In Spain, La Revuelta replayed the interview one last time. Millions watched again, hearing the tremble in his voice, the pause before his words. And for those who had ever loved and lost, it wasn't just another celebrity story, it was a mirror of their own hearts. Because sometimes, the most powerful love stories are the ones that never find their way back.